Every woman, at some point in her life, has felt that magnetic pull toward someone she could not have. It begins subtly, with a glance, a tone of voice, or a quiet strength in his presence. He seems different, grounded, certain, carrying an energy that lingers long after he leaves the room. And then comes the detail that redefines everything. The ring, the unspoken boundary. He is married. In that moment, the attraction does not vanish. It intensifies. The forbidden becomes radiant. The unattainable becomes irresistible. Why does this happen? Why do so many women feel desire for a man who is already bound to another? The truth is not explained by cliches about thrill-seeking or lack of options. It is deeper. Carl Jung revealed that much of human attraction lives in the unconscious, shaped by archetypes, symbols, and shadows that operate beneath awareness. To desire a married man is not only to want him, it is to encounter hidden parts of yourself that awaken in his presence. This desire is not shallow, nor is it purely about immorality. It is about the psyche speaking in its secret language. The married man becomes a mirror, reflecting what has been buried or unacknowledged inside the feminine soul. And in this first part, we explore 3 of the most powerful psychological triggers that reveal why this paradoxical attraction arises. The first trigger is the aura of commitment. A married man carries with him the invisible weight of promises already spoken. His wedding ring is not just an ornament, it is a signal, radiating stability, loyalty, and permanence. For many women, the unconscious mind reads this as a confirmation that he is capable of choosing and staying, of being loyal and responsible. Even when the conscious mind knows he is unavailable, the unconscious sees in him proof of qualities long desired. This aura is not about the man alone. It is about what he represents. In a world where so many fear betrayal, abandonment, or impermanence, the image of a man who has already chosen to commit becomes rare and precious. Women who grew up without stable father figures, or who carry wounds of inconsistency in past relationships, may feel this aura even more strongly. The forbidden quality of his bond does not repel, it heightens the sense of value. The paradox is cruel. What makes him unattainable is precisely what makes him appear trustworthy. Attraction here is less about desire for him personally and more about longing for the safety symbolized by his commitment. The psyche translates his ring into a promise she wishes was hers. The second trigger is the shadow of the forbidden. Jung described the shadow as the hidden side of the self, the instincts, passions, and impulses that society teaches us to repress. When a woman encounters a married man, her shadow awakens. The forbidden itself becomes fuel for desire. The danger creates an electricity that makes every word feel heavier, every look charged with unspoken possibility. For some women, the attraction is not simply to the man, but to the version of herself that comes alive in his presence. She feels daring, untamed, willing to cross lines she normally would never consider. This is not about morality, it is about vitality. The shadow, long silenced, suddenly breathes. A woman who has always been dutiful, careful, restrained, may unconsciously crave the fire of risk. The married man becomes a doorway to that hidden self. Jung believed that what we repress will always return, often in distorted forms, forbidden. Desire is one of the ways the shadow knocks on the door. It says, "You cannot keep ignoring me. You crave passion, aliveness, intensity, and if you deny it too long, it will appear in forms that shock you." Attraction to a married man, then, is less about him than about the woman's own hunger for her unlived life. He becomes the spark that forces her to see what she has buried. The third trigger is the archetype of the provider. Across time and culture, women have unconsciously associated protection, stability, and provision with safety. A married man, by the very fact that he has built a home or chosen to share his life with another, often radiates this archetype. He is seen as dependable, capable, and proven in the roles of caretaker and builder. Even when a woman does not consciously seek such qualities, her psyche may still respond to them. This archetype is not about money or material security alone. It is about the energy of reliability, the sense that he knows how to hold and protect those close to him. Jung taught that archetypes are universal forces that live in all of us, whether we recognize them or not. The provider archetype speaks directly to the feminine longing for safety and continuity. Even in modern times, when women are independent and self-sufficient, the unconscious still responds to the image of a man who can carry weight, offer stability, and protect what is fragile. the attraction is not always to the man as an individual. It is to the timeless pattern he embodies. She looks at him and feels the echo of ancient longing, the dream of being cared for without fear of abandonment. It is not rational, and it does not need to be. Archetypes are not logical, they are symbolic, and when this one awakens, the attraction can feel almost overwhelming. The married man becomes less a person and more a vessel of this archetypal energy. These three triggers, the aura of commitment, the shadow of the forbidden, and the archetype of the provider, form a powerful trinity of attraction. They do not expose weakness in women, but rather reveal the unconscious forces at work within all of us. To recognize them is to reclaim power. To understand them is to see that what feels like desire for him is present, in truth, the psyche's call to meet deeper truths within yourself. Before we continue, if someone awakened a part of you could not protect, the Jung method can help. It reveals the patterns behind intense attraction and shows how to protect your heart while staying yourself. The link is pinned in the first comment. The unconscious does not stop with the first three forces that shape desire. There are still deeper movements in the psyche that explain why attraction to a married man can grow into something almost impossible to release. The fourth force is the power of projection. Jung taught that we rarely fall in love with another person as they truly are. Instead, we fall in love with the qualities of our own soul that we unconsciously project onto them. The married man becomes a mirror. His confidence, his maturity, his stability, all of these may be real. But what makes them magnetic is that they reflect qualities a woman longs to claim within herself. If she yearns for safety, she projects safety onto him. If she craves passion, she sees passion in him. The intensity of attraction does not come from who he is, but from what she believes he carries for her. This is why he feels unforgettable. She is not only drawn to him, she is drawn to the parts of her own soul that he seems to embody. Projection is intoxicating because it disguises itself as destiny. It convinces her that he is the answer, when in truth, he is only a vessel holding qualities she has yet to awaken inside herself. This mechanism of projection becomes even more powerful when combined with loss or longing. A woman who has been disappointed in love may look at a married man and unconsciously project onto him the idea that he represents the partner she never had. His calm presence might embody the father she wished for, or the protector she never received. His apparent strength may look like the missing piece in her life, and because projection works in symbols, it does not matter whether he truly is those things. What matters is that he appears to carry the image her unconscious longs to meet. This is why women can remain haunted by such men for years. The memory is not about him. It is about the inner part of her that he seemed to awaken, the part she still has not claimed. Consider how powerful this can be. If a woman has neglected her own authority, she may project authority onto him. If she has not embraced her own sensuality, she may project it onto him, believing he alone awakens her passion. Jung warned us that what we do not recognize in ourselves, we will continue to chase in others. Projection is the psyche's way of pointing toward growth, but if it is misunderstood, it becomes a trap. The woman thinks she is in love with him, but in reality, she is in love with a reflection of her own soul. Until she reclaims that reflection, she remains bound to his image. But projection alone does not explain the full story. Alongside it rises the fifth force, perhaps the most intoxicating of all, the archetype of the unattainable. From myths to love stories across every culture, humanity has always been fascinated by what it cannot have. Think of forbidden lovers in Greek tragedy, knights who longed for queens they could never touch, or tales of spirits and gods who appear for a moment only to vanish again. The unattainable figure becomes the ultimate symbol of value, not because of who he is, but because he stands just beyond reach. When a man is married, he instantly carries this archetypal energy. His boundaries are immovable, his unavailability certain, and yet, that very impossibility makes him glow in the imagination. Scarcity sharpens desire. The forbidden feels divine. A woman may find herself believing that the reason she cannot have him is because he is meant to be her great and impossible love. But this is not destiny. It is the psyche mistaking unavailability for depth, turning longing itself into an idol. This archetype is powerful because it allows fantasy to grow endlessly. The more unreachable he is, the more perfect he can become in her mind. A real man, in a real relationship, eventually shows flaws, disappointments, and ordinariness, but the unattainable man remains untouched by reality. he becomes a canvas for perfection, a dream that never fades because it is never tested. She does not fall in love with his humanity, she falls in love with the ache of desiring him. And in that ache, she feels alive. Modern psychology confirms what ancient myths already knew. People often confuse intensity with love. The pain of longing can feel as strong as the joy of connection. For some women, the unattainable man becomes safer than the available one. Because if she only desires what she cannot have, she never has to risk what comes after love begins. She never has to face betrayal, routine, or the fading of passion. She stays in the endless anticipation, which feels exciting but costs her years of real intimacy. This is why Jung warned that archetypes have two sides. They can guide us toward truth, but if we remain unconscious of them, they enslave us. The archetype of the unattainable is one of the most seductive traps. It whispers that the impossible man is proof of true passion, when in reality, he is a symbol of her fear to step fully into a love that is real. As long as she chases what she cannot have, she avoids the vulnerability of receiving what she can. When projection and the archetype of the unattainable combine, the spell becomes almost unbreakable. She feels certain he is her fate, when in reality, he is only the mirror and the idol of her own unconscious. Projection ties her to the qualities she has not yet embraced. The unattainable binds her to the longing she does not dare to fulfill in real life. Together, they create a cage, disguised as passion. To see this clearly is to take back power. The married man himself is not the source of the spell. He is only the carrier of these symbols. The aura of commitment, the shadow of the forbidden, the provider archetype, the mirror of projection, and the idol of the unattainable. Together they form the 5 triggers that explain why desire for him feels so overwhelming, but the truth is liberating. Every one of these triggers is less about him and more about you. The qualities you admire, the passions you awaken, the longing you feel, they belong to your soul, not his. He only reflects them for a moment. The real task is to reclaim them, to draw back the projections, and to shatter the illusion of the unattainable. When you do, the story changes. The married man is no longer the answer. He becomes the messenger, pointing you toward the parts of yourself you have ignored. And once you understand that message, the obsession loses its grip. You step out of longing and into freedom. You stop worshipping what you cannot have and begin building the love that is real, available, and worthy of you. Jung believed that attraction always carries meaning. To feel drawn to someone is to encounter a part of yourself. And the greatest freedom comes when you recognize that the qualities you saw in him were never his alone. They were waiting to be born in you. This is the path from longing to liberation. What once felt like an impossible desire becomes the doorway into your own strength, your own passion, your own capacity to love and be loved without chains.